This is Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello viewers, I'm Gamachisa Mandida and you're watching POA Daily News. Please stay with us for comprehensive coverage of the stories impacting our region and the global stage. Leaders from Africa and Europe meeting in the Angolan capital Luanda on Monday committed to strengthening trade and better tracking illegal migration, marking 25 years of AU-EU relations with 2 days of talks, saw the European Union pledge to support African nations develop, industrialize and diversify their exports. They welcomed the progress made in implementing the Global Gateway Africa-Europe Investment Package, which mobilizes public and private funds for infrastructure, energy and digital connectivity. The €150 billion program is intended to strengthen growth and accelerate climate and digital transitions. A declaration at the end of the summit produced a wide-ranging declaration that noted to Europe's desire to secure critical minerals and Africa's desire for economic growth. European Council President Antonio Costa said it was important to diminish inequalities and promote development. Europe was promised help in tackling irregular migration. The summit aimed to deepen both economic and security ties between the two continents, with delegates emphasizing the need to achieve peace through multilateralism. João Lourenço, President of Angola and Chairperson of the African Union, said leaders had agreed to strengthen cooperation on numerous issues. The two partners will also strengthen economic ties with commitments to promote investment in sustainable infrastructures, manufacturing and agriculture, and expand mobility exchanges between peoples. Tunisia received more than 10 million foreign tourists between January 1 and November 20, up 10.3% year-on-year, local radio Mosaic FM reported Tuesday. Notably, arrivals from Britain rose sharply by 40.1% to 415,000 during the period, whereas those from China increased by 18.6% to 24,268, the radio said, citing data from the Tunisian Tourism Ministry. Tourism revenue reached about 7 million Tunisian dinars, including equivalent to $2.4 billion in the first 9 months, up 8.3% year-on-year, it said. The ministry is working to diversify the country's tourism offerings, including health, Saharan adventure, sports and cultural tourism, amid growing demand for high-end travel, it added. President John Dramani Mahama says multilateralism remains the most effective path to global peace and development as geopolitical and economic shifts intensify. He made the remarks on November 25, 2025, during a meeting in Accra with Prince Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh. Mahama stressed that the world's major challenges require collective action rather than unilateral moves. He noted that the post-Second World War multilateral system enabled key milestones, including the Millennium Development Goals, which lifted millions out of poverty. With the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals deadline approaching, he said global cooperation is more critical than ever. He warned that unilateral actions such as The war in Ukraine, the Gaza conflict, and sudden tariff increases by some governments undermine the rules-based international order. Such actions, he said, are out of step with modern global governance. Mahama called for coalitions of the willing to defend and strengthen multilateral cooperation. Kenya's Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Musalia W. Mudavadi, on Tuesday opened the 5th International Conference on the Safe Schools Declaration (SSD), urging the global community to convert a decade of commitments into concrete, measurable action. Addressing ministers, diplomats, UN officials, international partners, and child protection experts at the Safari Park Hotel in Nairobi, he reaffirmed Kenya's strong commitment to safeguarding uninterrupted learning for every child. Dr. Mudavadi highlighted growing threats to education globally, citing the closure of thousands of schools in conflict-affected regions. He announced strengthened coordination between security and education agencies, enhanced teacher preparedness for crisis situations, and targeted measures to sustain learning during emergencies, particularly in high-risk counties. Calling for renewed global urgency, Dr. Mudavadi urged countries to prevent the illegal use of schools by armed groups, improve reporting and accountability for attacks on education, and increase investment in schooling during crises. The three-day conference brings together representatives from 121 endorsing countries, development partners, civil society organizations, and youth advocates. Now to business news. Caledonia Mining Corp will proceed with its Bilboes Gold project after a feasibility study projected strong returns, it said on Tuesday, of what is expected to become Zimbabwe's largest gold mine. The company, which bought Bilboes in 2023, estimates peak funding at $484 million and total capital costs $584 million. It plans to finance the project mainly through debt and equity from its Blanket Gold Mine in the Matabeleland South Province. This project has been decades in the making, Chief Executive Mark Lermont said of Bilboes, adding that it should help Zimbabwe to regain its status as a leading gold producer. Bilboes is forecast to produce 1.55 million ounces of gold over nearly 11 years. Output is expected to begin in late 2028, ramping up to about 200,000 ounces in 2029. Moving to Angola, Angola will roll over a $1 billion debt facility with JP Morgan that is close to maturity, a senior official at the Finance Ministry told Reuters on Tuesday. The Southern African nation will seek to lower the interest rate of the facility when it is rolled over, the official said, without providing further detail. Angola and JP Morgan agreed to a $1 billion one-year derivative contract known as a total return swap almost a year ago, backed by $1.9 billion in Angolan government dollar bonds. The bank demanded $200 million in additional security in April after the value of the bonds put up as collateral weakened when the U.S. imposed steep tariffs on the country. The bonds recovered and the government got the additional security back. The bond was quoted at 99.8 cents on the dollar on Tuesday, market participants said. Moving on to sport, we have Morocco. Morocco intensifies its preparations as the Africa Cup of Nations approaches, aiming to deliver one of the most impressive editions ever held on the continent. With world-class stadiums, upgraded infrastructure and meticulous organization, the host nation wants to shine both on the field and as an organizer, especially as it prepares for the 2030 World Cup. The country expects huge support for the Atlas Lions, who seek their second continental title, but it also works to ensure that every participating delegation enjoys top-level facilities throughout the tournament. The kingdom also takes significant steps to make the experience easier and more accessible for supporters across Africa. Alongside the introduction of a smart digital ticketing system, Morocco launched special discounted travel rates for fans from several countries. Now let's review the latest weather forecast and the expected conditions throughout the area. That concludes our broadcast from POA News for this hour. We appreciate your company and be sure to stay with us for more news updates from Africa.